Being out on the streets while everyone sleeps, coming home when people are heading to work, what a strange existence the nightlife is. Don't let your mind wander to other things. I'm a night watchman. A security guard. My name is Marcus. I started working as a night watchman in 1973. Got married in 1975. God bless us, we weren't blessed with children for a long time. Then my wife got pregnant in 1979, but we lost the baby. Then again in 1981, we lost another. In 1984, thank God, our baby made it to 7 months. It was right around that time that certain events started happening to me. Back then, I was a young, fit man. The streets were entrusted to us. My first assignment was in the neighborhoods of New Orleans' 9th Ward. At first, I struggled quite a bit. There were days I was terrified, but eventually you get used to it. It was about my 11th year on the job. I was slowly shedding those nighttime fears and shivers. I'd spend my nights praying for my wife. With every step, I'd beg God. This time, grant me my child, Lord, I'd say. Others were raising their babies, holding their hands as they walked them to school. We hadn't even gotten to hold our child's hand yet. Well, God knows best. We have no choice but patience. I was continuing my night watch duties in a neighborhood in the 9th Ward. There it was, done deal. A cemetery. I never liked neighborhoods with cemeteries, but there was one here. We'd always hear stories about cemeteries. At night, spirits would inhabit these places. Some ignorant people would come here and bury their dark rituals in the graves. Besides being deserted at night, there were trees, and night birds were always there, making eerie sounds. According to some beliefs, these birds' ominous calls would summon spirits to the cemetery. I'd tell myself these were nonsense. I didn't want to believe it. I had to do that because my job was always at night, and generally some neighborhoods had cemeteries. Especially toward morning, between 2 and 4 a.m., an incredible silence would form. A silence that disturbed you. You'd hesitate to step on the ground. Some streets would give you chills, but still, you'd blow your whistle. During my service, I experienced many interesting incidents. We chased runaway girls, playboys, naked citizens, or men dressed as women. Back then I found it very strange, but now it's normal. I'm not even counting thieves and muggers, you know about them. I even remember a citizen running through the streets at night wearing a cape. God help him. He'd lost his mind from financial stress. The first time I saw him, I was very scared of him too. Bitter and sweet, it had been 11 full years. And again, this neighborhood with a cemetery. Every time I passed by, I'd get chills. I'd try not to look in that direction as much as possible. One night, I was routinely walking the streets. It was around 3:30 a.m. Suddenly I heard running sounds. I ran toward where the sound was coming from. A woman on a balcony saw me and said, "Officer, there was a burglar on the opposite balcony." When he saw me, he jumped and ran that way. I ran in the direction she pointed. When we caught burglars, we'd get a lot of praise from the station. Of course, that was also our job, citizen safety. I went after the burglar. I could hear footsteps from the alleyways. I was running in that direction too. Then at one point, I saw him. I started running with all my might. These bastards always run to the cemetery. The script is always the same. When someone's on their tail, they head to the cemetery. Why? Because it's dark. Lots of places to hide. Plus, most people don't have the courage to enter a cemetery at night. This burglar did the same thing. He was running toward the cemetery. Me behind him. I'd run so much that I was seeing red. If I catch him, I'll beat the hell out of him, meaning I won't let the station guys have all the fun. He jumped over the cemetery wall. I followed. While tracking the running sounds, someone was moving behind a gravestone. "Now I've got you," I said, making a move in that direction, when suddenly I froze. Behind the gravestone was a black shadow. I say shadow because its silhouette wasn't clear. No face. Like some hellish creature. For a moment, I couldn't move. My hands and feet went numb. My body was tingling. My heart was pounding like it would jump out of my chest. It was at most 20 meters away. There was a gravestone beside me. I slowly sank to my knees toward it. When I crouched down, I looked again. For a moment, I thought it had disappeared. I tried to slow my breathing because I was making too much noise. I'd calmed down a bit, it seemed. Just when I sensed movement right behind me, I turned around with a sudden reflex. 3 meters ahead, it had turned toward me. Just standing there. For a moment, I thought my heart stopped. It was very quiet around. Even those strange night birds seemed to have fallen silent. First it, then me, I was staring with open eyes at a faceless entity. Not knowing what to do, trembling with fear, I think I passed out. When the call to prayer, when dawn broke and I heard a sound, I woke up with a sudden shock. I immediately looked around. I searched for my fallen cap, left and right. Then I left the cemetery at a run. I walked quickly toward the church. At the fountain, I washed my hands and face. I kept looking around. As if something would emerge from somewhere, I was anxious. The church courtyard made me feel safe. Soon, the old men coming to pray appeared. They entered the church one by one. While they prayed, I didn't leave the church courtyard. I was still very anxious. After the prayer ended, I left with them. Soon the day brightened anyway. When my shift ended and I went home, I still wasn't myself. My wife, bless her, had prepared breakfast, but I said I wasn't hungry and went straight to bed. My wife, understanding something was wrong from my condition, came to me and asked what happened. I didn't answer at all. I just wanted to sleep. I barely fell asleep. When something occupies your mind, you can't sleep, I was like that. I kept waking up, sometimes having nightmares. My last nightmare was again in that cemetery, running from that entity. I kept waking up suddenly, sometimes groaning. My wife kept coming to calm me down. I could barely hold on until noon. Then I got up and washed my face. My wife prepared breakfast again. She was looking into my eyes. "What happened, Marcus? Something's happened to you. You're not telling me," she said. She was looking at me with worried eyes. How could I tell my wife what I'd seen? I witnessed an incident. "That's why my mind is foggy," I said. My wife didn't believe me, but she said okay. After eating, I wanted to sleep again. I couldn't. In the evening, I had to go to work again. I got ready and went to work, but my feet felt like they were walking backward. I really didn't want to go to that neighborhood. Helplessly, we were at our post. Time was passing somehow as I walked street by street, but I was very anxious. I wasn't going toward the cemetery as much as possible. But after midnight, sounds coming from that direction forced me to go there. Someone was shouting for help. It was a male voice. I ran toward where the sound was coming from, wondering what was happening. Right on the street below the cemetery, 2 people with knives had cornered someone. The poor man was crying for help. When the thieves saw me, they left the man and started running. I went after them. Damn it. They were running right toward the cemetery. These thieves' tactics are always the same, wherever there's a deserted, dark, desolate place, run there, lose your trail. One of them looked like the burglar who escaped from me yesterday. This time I've got you, buddy, I said, pulling my gun. Stop! I yelled, but they kept turning corners. Finally, I saw them entering the cemetery. Then I slowed down. I'm not going in today, I said, but my luck, the mugged man was following us. He said to me, man, why'd you stop? They took all my money. What will my wife and kids eat and drink? Please, let's find them, and dove into the cemetery. Helplessly, I followed. The man was hurt, of course. He was running this way and that in the cemetery. I was running after him. Wherever he went, I followed. Finally, the man turned around. Man, why are you following me? You look elsewhere too, he said. No way. For security reasons, we should walk together. In this darkness, in this cemetery, what if something happens to you? Plus, if you face them alone, what good would it do? There are two of them, I said. The man huffed and puffed but kept running. Suddenly I heard a sound to our left. I stopped and looked, the men were over there. I could see them. I called out to the man. Wait, they're here, this way, I said. I looked and the man stopped and was following me. I immediately entered among the graves. I started running, but despite running for a long time, I lost sight of the thieves. Then I looked and the man behind me was gone too. I looked front and back. Am I stuck here like a sitting duck? When I sensed movement to my left again, I thought, we're done for now. I slowly turned my head in that direction. Again, it was there, this time even closer. You know how a train comes and your feet get nailed to the ground? You can't move. You can't run. That's exactly what happened to me. As if nailed, I stood there like a statue. It was looking at me but not reacting at all. Its face was dark, invisible. Trembling with fear, I lowered my head at one point. It had no contact with the ground. It was literally floating in the air. The man's screams broke the silence. Suddenly a cry rose up. When I turned my head with a sudden reflex, that thing had also disappeared. After shaking off the first fear, I ran to where the man's voice was coming from. The mugged man was lying on the ground, wailing. What happened? I asked. I found them, but they stabbed me in the leg and ran, he said. Didn't I tell you we should stay together? I said. Anyway, come on, and I took the man by the arm and got him out of the cemetery. Then I went to a nearby phone booth and called an ambulance. The man had lost a lot of blood. Then the police came too. After giving them my statement, I continued my work. I continued, but I was trembling all over. Whenever a cat ran in front of me, my heart would jump. I'd really lost it. My God, what am I going to do like this? What kind of trouble is this on my head? Apparently, this is what being a cemetery guardian is like. At least it's not doing anything to me, but I'm gradually losing my mind. I barely made it to morning. After going to the station and giving my statement, I went home. It had been another difficult day for me. When I got home, my wife looked at me. You're hiding something from me, she said. Yes, I said. I'm hiding it. I'm hiding it for your own good. I'm hiding it so you won't be scared. I'm not afraid, you tell me, she said. No, I can't. You're pregnant. It'll haunt your dreams at night, you'll have nightmares. No, I can't take it, I said. She seemed to have guessed. Okay then, don't tell me. Tell our neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor. She'll help you, she said. Actually, my wife was right. Why didn't I think of that? After breakfast, I knocked on Mrs. Eleanor's door. She was a very sweet neighbor. I told Mrs. Eleanor what had happened to me. Mrs. Eleanor said, "I have a relative. His place is a bit far, but we can go together tomorrow if you want." "Can't we go today, ma'am?" I said. "No, today's Sunday." "He doesn't see clients," she said. Helplessly, we'd have to wait for Monday. That evening I went to work again. I walked the streets, blowing my whistle. There wasn't much happening today either. It was quiet. Tomorrow was Monday, everyone would be going about their business, of course. I kept walking the upper streets. I wasn't approaching the cemetery much. From walking and lack of sleep, my legs were killing me. I came out from the street to the avenue and sat on a bench there for a bit. It was around 3 a.m. Somehow I dozed off. When I woke up, I found myself in the cemetery. I was lying stretched out on the ground. As I tried to wake up, wondering, how did I get here? I saw that creature right next to me. It grabbed me by one foot and started dragging me. I was screaming, struggling, but it was holding so tight I couldn't break free. It was very strong. I was a big guy myself, but I still couldn't resist. It dragged me to the very back, the most remote part of the cemetery. Then it let go of my leg. "What do you want from me?" I said. I was trying to crawl away, but no matter which way I turned, there was one of them. They all looked alike. They surrounded me and started interrogating me. "Who are you? Where are you from? Where are you coming from and going to?" I answered all of them. One of them said, "We have enemies around here." "You're not one of them." "No," I said. "We're waiting for the demons," he said. My heart was about to explode. I was shivering where I stood. I slowly stood up. "Can I go then?" I asked. They all disappeared at once. In pitch darkness, at the edge of the cemetery, I was left completely alone. With quick steps, sometimes running, I left the cemetery. I was a mess. I was covered in mud everywhere. I immediately ran to the church. I tried to clean myself at the fountain. Hours had passed, but I was still shivering. I couldn't calm down at all. I don't know how morning came. I went home. When my wife saw me in that state, she was very worried, but I said, there was a struggle when we were catching someone. We rolled in the mud. I had my breakfast and took a hot shower. Then Mrs. Eleanor and I went to see that spiritual advisor she knew. The elder was bearded, wore traditional robes. He looked like a gentleman. With his head bowed, he said, "Tell me what happened, son." I told him everything that had happened to me. Finally, he smiled. "There's nothing to fear, son. There's cemetery guardians. Look, they didn't harm you. You entered their territory at night. Apparently, they had an enemy they were waiting for too. Good thing they didn't attack you thinking you were one. Anyway, if demons are around, let me write you an amulet. You'll wear it around your neck. God willing, no spirit can approach you," he said. He prepared the amulet and gave it to me. "May God bless you," I said, and we left. Thank God, Mrs. Eleanor had thoughtfully brought one of her yard chickens for the elder. After wearing the amulet, they never appeared to me again. I continued my night watch duties at my post. Thank God, our baby was also born healthy and grew up. I did night watch work for a full 27 years. We raised our daughter, Azra. I retired in 2000. But I couldn't sleep at night. After retiring in 2000, the wear and tear of all those years started to show. Insomnia, loss of appetite, and on top of that, a hernia. Those things were one thing, but this insomnia really affected me. We were used to staying awake at nights, after all. My daughter Ezra was growing up. She'd turned 16. She was going to high school. My wife Emily wasn't used to me being home, so our home life had become a bit strange. In the mornings, I'd wake up and prepare breakfast for Ezra, then drop her at school. You know, girl child, let people see her with her father so the boys will think twice. Ezra was very happy with this situation. When her mother got home, I'd help Emily with the daily chores. In the afternoon, I'd pick up Ezra from school and return home. Toward evening, I'd go to the cafe and watch people play games until midnight. By the time I got home, everyone would be asleep. Even when going home, I'd wander around. I couldn't sleep when I got home anyway. Might as well take a walk, I'd say. It was an old habit, after all. For days, weeks, I walked until morning. I'd go home around Ezra's school time. The worst part was that when I was a watchman, I could sleep during the day. Now there was no daytime sleep either. Sometimes at night I'd sleep for 2 to 3 hours. Even that was on benches outside or in some corner I'd found. It's a habit. But when I slept outside at night, I'd have bad dreams. I'd seemingly relive the events I experienced in that cemetery. Whenever I fell asleep, I'd find myself in that cemetery, and those guardians would take me to the back of the cemetery. However, one day I started to realize this was more than a dream. It was a rainy day. Under my umbrella, I was walking street by street in the light drizzle. In front of a house, there was a daybed under the porch. I immediately curled up on that couch. But while sleeping, I had that nightmare again. I was in that cemetery again. I'd followed them. The entity was taking me away. They were in the back part of that cemetery, places no one ever saw. There were dozens of them around. I'd go among them and start waiting. I don't remember what happened next. Every time, I'd wake up jumping from these dreams. Drenched in sweat, breathless. As if my heart had stopped and started working again. That day when I woke up, the same thing happened. After barely coming to, I sat up and tried to put on my shoes. My shoes were covered in mud. There was no mud in the streets I'd come through. All stone or asphalt streets, but the bottoms of my shoes were covered in 2 fingers worth of mud. Good Lord, I said, but it really stuck in my mind. Scraping on the ground, I got the mud off my feet. I arrived home near the morning prayer time. The depression symptoms inside me were confronting me with the fear of death. Of course, back then I couldn't evaluate what I felt and experienced as depression. Why was I afraid of dying? Of course. My daughter Ezra. My dear daughter. My baby whose face bloomed with flowers when she smiled was growing up. If I weren't here, she'd be left alone with her mother in this world. I'm their strength to lean on. The crisis I experienced after retirement had really worn me down. I was starting to think strange things. Constantly seeing the cemetery in my nightmares was causing me to fear death. But as days passed, my insomnia was becoming even more impossible. Our neighborhood wasn't enough anymore. I was walking through the lower neighborhoods too. Occasionally I'd run into old watchman friends. We'd walk and chat together. It was good. One day, below our neighborhood, I ran into my old friend Isaac. When Isaac saw me, he first hesitated. He got nervous. I thought at first he didn't recognize me, but when I realized he was scared, I said, "Peace be upon you, Isaac. It's me, Marcus, man." When Isaac heard my voice, he seemed relieved. "Oh, Marcus, was that you? How are you? Are you okay?" he said. After exchanging greetings, we started walking together. We hadn't seen each other for about a year. After chatting a bit, when Isaac asked me, "You did shifts in the cemetery neighborhood too, right, Marcus?" I suddenly stopped. "Why do you ask?" I said. "It's obvious you saw what I saw," he said. I kept walking. "What did you see?" I asked. "You tell me first, man," he said. "I didn't see anything." "Tell me what you saw," I said. Isaac started telling me. 2 months ago, in the middle of the night, while walking in the cemetery neighborhood, I saw a man walking strangely from the street leading to the cemetery. I quietly followed him. He jumped over the cemetery wall and went inside. I looked from on top of the wall without being noticed. The man walked to the middle of the cemetery and started waiting. I thought it was a drug or weapons deal. I started waiting in ambush. What I saw next was the most terrifying moment of my life. A shadow appeared near where the man was standing. Then this shadow turned into human form, but it had no face. When the man saw it, he wasn't scared at all and started following it, and they went to the very back of the cemetery. As Isaac told these things, the things I experienced in that cemetery were coming before my eyes. That back part of the cemetery never left my mind. Isaac continued talking. For a long time, the man who went behind that thing disappeared from sight. I crouched at the base of the wall and pinched myself to see if I was asleep or awake. My God, what did I just witness? After waiting a bit more, I stood up and looked toward the cemetery from on top of the wall again. The entity that had appeared from the shadow was right in front of me, turned toward me. I immediately lowered my head and started running and fleeing while crouched. After getting a bit away, I turned and looked back. When I saw that thing looking at me from on top of the wall, I quickly ran away. For days I couldn't come to myself. I didn't sleep night or day. I tried to make sense of what I saw, but I couldn't find any meaning. As Isaac told these things, I was listening to him without making a sound or showing surprise. At the end, Isaac said, "Do you know what happened the last time I saw it? Did you see it again? What happened?" I asked. On a rainy night, I again heard sounds from the cemetery direction. I ran there. This time, again, that man was entering through the cemetery's front gate. He had an umbrella. I couldn't see his face, but finally he turned his head and looked at me, and I saw who it was. He stopped. When I remembered the rainy day, the umbrella, and the mud on my shoes, my heartbeat started rising. Isaac and I looked into each other's eyes for a long time. "Who was it, Isaac?" I asked. "It was you, Marcus," he said. The umbrella, the rain, the mud on my shoes, everything passed before my eyes like a film reel. Isaac was looking at me, waiting for me to say something. From his eyes, it was obvious how scared he was. For a long time, I looked at Isaac meaninglessly. "Don't you remember, Marcus?" he said. "I don't remember," I said. We kept walking. Neither of us could open our mouths. Occasionally we'd look at each other and seem about to say something but would give up. Isaac broke the long silence. "Man, when I saw you that day, you didn't recognize me anyway. You turned around and looked at me. When I realized it was you, I came out from where I was hiding. You saw me but didn't recognize me and then went on your way," he said. I didn't remember, but my shoes were muddy. Without saying anything to Isaac, I left and went home. As soon as I got home, I went into Ezra's room and looked at my daughter. Then I went to my room and looked at my wife. I lay on my bed and started thinking. What did all this mean? Was I sleepwalking, or worse, or had I gotten mixed up with them? My God, I'm going to lose my mind. For days I went to bed and woke up with these questions. I thought of every possibility I could, but there was no solution. The solution was to face that cemetery. Whatever was in that cemetery, whoever was there, were the answers to my questions. About a week later, I went to the same neighborhood to find Isaac. Soon we met. I asked Isaac what he thought about me. He didn't know either. He couldn't make sense of what was happening. I suggested to Isaac that we go to the cemetery. I can only find answers to my questions this way. Otherwise, I can't live like this, I said. Isaac didn't want to come. You have to come, I said. You have to tell me what's going on there. He agreed to watch from a distance. We made an appointment for the next day. Before leaving home, I performed ablution and said my prayers. As always, I entrusted my baby and my wife to God. Isaac and I met in the cemetery neighborhood. We were very nervous. We had no idea what would happen. Isaac stayed outside at a distance where he could see me. I slowly entered the cemetery. I was walking fearfully inside the cemetery. After advancing a bit, I could tell things were moving around, right and left, but despite all my walking, they wouldn't appear before me. No matter what I did, I couldn't succeed. I walked in the cemetery until the morning prayer, but nothing appeared before me. Helplessly, Isaac and I returned. On the way back, I was thinking about why it didn't happen. Isaac said, "Man, I think they only come to you in your dreams." I saw them with my own eyes 16 years ago, Isaac. And I saw them more than once too. Tell me about it, man, he said. One time, I'd entered that cemetery chasing a burglar. Suddenly I saw that entity. It was pretty far away. First I hid. Then behind where I was hiding, it suddenly appeared before me. I passed out. Later, when chasing two muggers, I had to enter again. This time it appeared before me too. It didn't do anything, but our third encounter wasn't so friendly. I'd fallen asleep on a bench on the upper avenue. When I woke up, I was in the cemetery. That creature was right beside me. It grabbed me by the foot. It grabbed me and started dragging me. I don't remember being that scared in my life. Isaac was looking at me with widening eyes. Then what happened, man? It took me to the most remote part of the cemetery. There were dozens of entities there just like it. They told me they had enemies, that demons were wandering around. When they realized I wasn't one of them, they all disappeared at once. Isaac started thinking deeply. Then I stopped a bit more and said, "The day you saw me in the cemetery, I was sleeping too. When I woke up, there was mud on my shoes. That's how I understood that the person you saw was me." It was like a light bulb went on in Isaac's head. Then, man, when you sleep, they take you. Yes. 16 years ago it was like that too. Now it's the same. Then you'll sleep, man. You'll sleep in the same place, the same way. I'll watch you from a nearby place. Let's see what happens. Hopefully you'll get answers to your questions, he said. Morning was about to break. We made an appointment for a week later. But what was I going to do for a week? I needed to find answers to the questions in my mind. I went home. I changed my clothes and prepared breakfast for Ezra. Then we started walking to school together again. Ezra had noticed something was off about me. "What's wrong, Dad?" she asked. "Is it that obvious something's wrong with me, sweetheart?" I said. "Yes, Dad. Before, on the way to school, you'd joke and entertain me. My sleepy state would go away and I'd start lessons cheerfully, but now you don't talk at all. Do you have a problem, Dad?" she said. "No, sweetheart, I've just gotten a bit older, I think. You're not a child anymore either. You've become a young woman, God bless," I said. She wasn't satisfied with the answers I gave, of course. But what could I say, my daughter? I have trouble with the entities in the cemetery. They take me there. I don't know what I'm doing, what's happening to me. Until I solved this, it wasn't possible to return to my old cheer and peace. For a week, I tried not to sleep at night as much as possible. I slept during the day occasionally. A week later, at midnight, Isaac and I met at the place we'd agreed and set off. On the way, we talked about what we'd do and made a plan. I'd sleep on the bench by the cemetery. If I got up and left, Isaac would follow me and try to understand what was happening. But we had no safety belt. I mean, if things went wrong, I didn't know how I'd wake up or what I'd do. Isaac didn't know either. I sat on a bench on the avenue above the cemetery and tried to sleep. I was so excited I couldn't sleep at all. Later I took off my jacket and made a pillow. Then I lay down full length on the bench. My legs from the knees down were left hanging, of course. Soon I'd fallen asleep. Suddenly I found myself walking in the cemetery. And I was walking toward the back, remote part of the cemetery. Suddenly two entities appeared on my right and left. Without saying anything, I reached the most remote corner. When we got there, they surrounded me and took me in the middle. Just as I was about to ask, "What do you want from me?" one of them said, "Why did you come? What do you want from me? Why do you keep bringing me here?" I said. One of them said, "In your sleep, you're with us." What did that mean now? So I'm sleeping now? I said. Not bodily, but spiritually you're with us, and your spirit brings you here to us, he said. I was like I'd been shot in the brain. How can such a thing happen? Why do I want to come here? Why does my spirit bring me here? I asked. The entities around me all turned into shadows one by one and started disappearing. Not knowing what to do, I turned back. I don't remember what happened after. When I woke up, I was on that bench again. Isaac, seeing me get up, first watched from a distance, but when I called him, he came. What happened, man? You didn't go anywhere, he said. I went and came back, you just don't know, son, I said. He was surprised. What do you mean, he asked. I went in my dream this time, I said. Isaac couldn't really make sense of this situation. Neither did I, actually. Why were my shoes getting muddy then? Isaac kept trying to find out what was happening. I explained in detail. If you're with them in your dreams, what about when you're not sleeping? He asked. My head was about to explode. We still didn't understand what was happening. We went to our homes. I'd really withdrawn into myself, not talking to anyone. I wasn't going to the cafe anymore either. In the mornings, when dropping Ezra at school, my daughter would complain that I wasn't talking. She was right. For days and nights I didn't talk. Until that day. 10 days after the last meeting, Isaac and I met to try again. This time we decided to try in the same place where I woke up with mud on my shoes. After midnight, light rain started again. I went in front of that house, waited for the right time, and lay down on the daybed under the porch outside. After a while, I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes, Isaac and I were in the cemetery, and those entities were around us. Isaac was crying from fear. They grabbed each of us by one leg and started dragging us toward the back. When we got to the back, they surrounded us. Isaac was about to swallow his tongue from fear. I was calmer. Why do you bother with us? One said. Why do I open my eyes beside you every time I sleep? I asked. Don't you want to? He said. No, I don't want to anymore. I've moved away from this work. I'm not a watchman anymore. I don't want to die, and I don't want to be a watchman either, I said. If you don't guard, the demons will catch you. Be careful, one said. The moment I heard that, suddenly they all disappeared one by one. Isaac and I were left alone in the deepest corner of the cemetery. Especially when we heard about demons, both Isaac and I got really scared. I helped Isaac up. We left the cemetery at a run. Isaac still hadn't come to himself. We immediately ran to the church courtyard and washed our hands and faces. We didn't leave there until morning prayer. When the sun rose, we returned to our homes. The next day, Isaac came to our house. He took me along and we went to a spiritual advisor together. I asked Isaac, "Where did you find this advisor?" Isaac said, "This advisor is an advisor of advisors. He has very deep knowledge," and so on. The elder also looked like a learned man. "What's your problem? Please tell me," he said. We explained the situation from top to bottom. The elder, listening to us carefully, gave each of us a talisman. "Never take these off. Only take them off when going to the bathroom and when bathing," he said. I asked the elder what those entities were. "You said it yourself, son. They're cemetery guardians," he said. So God, who protects and looks after us everywhere, hasn't even left cemeteries unguarded. After leaving the elder's place with Isaac, we made an appointment to meet every week. We exchanged phone numbers and called each other every week to talk. Isaac later had to move to another city. They dissolved the night watchman institution. Some of my friends were given housing in dormitories. Some friends were made janitors, orderlies, or boiler operators. Unfortunately, night watch work, which had marked America's, last 30 years before 2000, was eliminated. As for me, I'm still the same. I married off my daughter. My wife and I are living happily together. Thank God. That's our story, friends. If you have stories you'd like us to share, you can reach us in the comments section. Thank you.